up, RC enthusiasts? Check it out. TRX4m right here. Pretty cool little Defender. Now, I do like the Bronco a little bit more. If I just had to choose one between this and the Bronco, it would have been the Bronco for me, just because of the performance of it. It's a little bit better. But since I have both, I realized that the tires that come with this one right here are a lot softer because the tread pattern, the lugs are further apart, so it's a lot squishier. This one has a more rigid sidewall, but still the same rubber compound, I believe. By the way, before I confuse you guys, this is the one that comes on the Bronco, these wheels and tires right here. I just put it on this one because I think it suits this truck better, because this truck's heavier, and this one seems to have more sidewall support because the lugs are a lot closer. So I switched the tires out because I like the way the rims and tires flick on the Bronco, the ones that belonged on this one, obviously. But yeah, since I have both, I was able to switch them out. I would pick the Bronco first. That's what I would get if I had to choose one of these two. Unless obviously you're a big Defender fan, then there's no choice there. Obviously you're going to get the Defender. In my opinion, the Defender, you're definitely going to get more accessories, like, you know, it's going to look more scale stuff, nicer roof rack and everything, with a cage, kind of semi-cage right here on top, with a front bumper with a fake winch. So yeah, you do kind of get a little bit more for your money with this one, because they're the same price, and this one just has more stuff that comes with it. But other than that, underneath they're the same truck. There's no difference, wheelbase and everything, they're exact same RC, the chassis wise, underneath. So let's go ahead and let's take it apart a little bit to see some of the crucial parts in here that you're going to want to get to. And I'll let you know how easy it is to get into them. I'm probably not going to film, you know, taking it apart and stuff. I really don't do that much, but sometimes if it's kind of difficult, I will point out what screws are needed to get them off and stuff. But usually, Traxxas is usually pretty good at making stuff that's pretty easy to work on. I mean, I don't have that many Traxxas. I used to have a lot of them. Yeah, so this is the only Traxxas I have now in a long while. I mean, I'm talking about back in the Nitro days, the T-Maxes and stuff like that. I had an X-Max for a while, but that didn't last long because I just didn't have too many places to run such a big truck, you know? But it was cool, it was nice. It's just, I'm more into these kind of things. I'm gonna go ahead and take off the lower links by removing this screw, that screw, that screw, that screw, and also the upper links, which is this screw right here, this screw right here, that screw right there, and that screw right there. Once I get all four of those off, that will remove the links from the chassis, and they'll be hanging onto the axles, and that way I can just pull off either the bottom or the top suspension bolt right here, or the bottom one, and that should separate the axles completely from the truck. So I'll go ahead and do that and let you know if I had to do anything else different than that. And I know for the front right here, you're gonna have to remove that servo to leave it hanging in here with the electronics and stuff, because that servo is stuck to the axle, so you're gonna have to unmount that servo as well. And right here I'm using a 1.5. That's the tool you're gonna need right there for the hex head, and that's what fits most of these screws. And I'll let you guys know if I had to use something different, but I know for now it's gonna be probably this. Right, as you can tell right here, rear axle is off the vehicle. Nice C-channel chassis right there. Pretty rigid as well. A pretty good job on Traxxas' part right here. I can't knock this truck at all. It's pretty well built. Well, here you go. Here's the rear axle. And from here, so we can check what's inside here, you have to remove these 4 screws. And I'm not sure if there's anything else to remove, but they look like there's some screws right here. So I'm going to pull the wheels off just so we can get a better look. Well, yeah, you're going to have to take the wheels off if you want to remove the shocks as well. So it's just going to take those 4 screws right there. Those 4 right there, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we should be able to open this diff right here to inspect inside. There you go, some nice gears in there. I believe they're plastic, but you know, they're probably made of a really good plastic. These should hold up pretty well. I've had other 18s and 24 scales that are plastic geared, and they're fine. More bushings in there as well. You know, like I always say, you like to run in water like I do. You like these. You're not going to go in there and be replacing these with bearings. They're just going to rust on you and seize. So if you like running in inclement weather, water runs like I do, this works for me. So this is why Traxxas chose this, because they made this whole truck waterproof. So this truck was meant for me. And underneath your wheel hex, you're going to have this pin right here, which is pretty traditional for all of them. Most RCs are like this. Here's the axle shaft that's inside the housing. You just take those 2 screws off of here, and then you could pull this off right there. It's just that bushing holding it in place. And this splines right here into your ring gear in there. Just by going through there, you just spline it in. And that's how you replace those, if you ever need to replace those. So far, if you look down here, those are the 8 screws to remove the links. These are the 4 screws right here to remove the diff, or to disassemble the diff to get to the diff gears. This right here are the 2 screws for the suspension. And these ones right here is to remove that shaft from the axle. These 2 right here for the suspension in the front, these 2 for the servo mount, and this one right here for the servo that connects to the steering linkage. And I was able to pull this all apart, and now I have the front diff right here with the steering linkage and everything all included still. So that was pretty easy to remove. And there's the servo mount right there, axle mounted servo. And the gears in here are the same as the gears are in the back, so I'm not going to go ahead and open that. As you can tell right there, you got the bushings right there as well. Nice oil filled shocks all around. This truck is built really well, guys. I can't stop saying that enough, because it is really built really nicely. Transmission looks like it has 4 screws right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me pull those out and see if that pulls the transmission off. So 2 screws right here that holds the battery tray in place. I'm not going to be removing it from here. I just needed to remove the screws so I can push the battery tray forward and access these 2 screws, because I didn't have enough room to get to them originally, but now I can get to them. So I'm not removing it, I'm just moving it so that way I don't have to mess with any of these wire routing. It's right here. So alright, by doing that I was able to move my transmission out of the way. Now obviously the wires are still connected, the motor wires to here, and I don't want to disconnect any of that because, you know, I want to be able to do this without having to completely disconnect everything. So if you were just servicing this truck to get to this transmission, only to change the gears in here to the low range gears or the high speed gears, all you're going to have to do is just remove the 2 screws that hold the battery tray in place so you can move it forward a little bit. Then take these 4 screws off that hold the transmission in place, and you should be able to pull the transmission up, and now you can work on it. You shouldn't have to remove anything else, so that's pretty simple. You are going to have to remove the drive shaft for this, and remove that 1 screw right there. Same size so far I've been using for everything I've been doing, this 1.5. So yeah, once you remove that, you're going to be able to pull the case apart. Here it is. You pull it apart. Hopefully none of the gears fling out. Well, there you go. When you pull the case apart, it reveals your gears right here, and these are the mid-speed, I guess, gears, or the, you know, the trail gears. Then you have the slower gears and the high-speed gears. But they're all plastic. And here's the bushings for your transmission. So it uses bushings in there as well, which is good, you know, for water runs, like I said. And there's no grease in here because it's all plastic gears, and you really don't need grease on all plastic gears, especially at the speeds these things are running. Unless you plan to go high-speed gears, maybe I would put grease. I don't know, but it should be fine. Well, there you go, guys. Very simple truck to work on, as you guys can see. Very well built, and definitely runs pretty well. They definitely thought this out, and this thing is built really well. There we go. Little disassemble of this guy. It's obviously the same as this guy right here, because it's the same underneath, just the different bodies. But as you can tell, you get a lot more, like I said earlier, with this one. You have the snorkel, roof rack, accessories in the back. You don't get any of that with this guy, except for, you know, if you like the way the Bronco looks. Like, I actually like the way the Bronco looks. I think they look sweet. This guy right here is going to be next on the list, little RC 4-wheel drive. Check that out once we disassemble that guy and see what we get with that rig, because that original price on this guy, pretty pricey. Found it for $79 or $76 some other website, but I wanted to support my local hobby shop, and they had it sitting there, and I didn't have to wait for it, and there you go, convenience fee. Alright guys, thanks for watching as usual, and as always, stay safe out there, go have fun, and run that RC.